Hello, welcome to episode 10 of the podcast, where today I'm going to be talking to Nick Ramsay. Nick is a client of mine who came to me to get into the best shape of his life, and he done exactly that. He done his very own elite transformation photo shoot where he looked absolutely phenomenal, so he's going to talk about that today, his goals post photo shoot, and his fitness journey. He also talks about how training has helped him with his mental health, which is obviously really important, which then brings me on to the t-shirt I'm wearing today, which is Have Hope. And Have Hope is a clothing company that my friend Stu has started to raise awareness for mental health, to get people talking about it, and what I'll do is I'll leave links for the Have Hope stuff on the podcast app and on YouTube. I think it's an amazing thing that he's doing, and happy to wear the t-shirt today for it. So yeah, here is episode 10 with Nick. How's it going, man?
Not too bad, man. How are you?
Let's make sure that's
right in my mouth.
The
There we
Don't
go.
want people to not be able to hear you.
Cool.
Put it there.
How you
Cheers
doing?
for coming on, mate.
Absolute pleasure.
What's been happening?
I've been really not well for about 2 weeks, so it's been quite rough, but in general, all good. Just being a dad, working away, try to keep myself fit and busy. So
Stay on top of things.
absolutely.
So what's been the matter with you?
I have been riddled. Well, first of all, I actually
Riddled,
wrong choice of word. I have been run down with I managed to catch shingles, which is adult chickenpox, which is rather bizarre. And then I also managed to end up with the flu. So it's been an interesting few weeks.
I've had bad luck there.
I know.
So you were our client of myself in
Absolutely.
Elite. I went through your own.
Representing here.
That's it. You only get that black hoodie when you do a photo shoot in here. So you obviously went through your transformation, and basically what we're going to ask you first of all is, how did you get into training? What was it that made you get into basically getting into the gym in the first place?
Absolutely. So I mean, for me, I think I got to a certain age in my life where I was always in reasonable shape. So I was always kind of slim or skinny or whatnot, or whatever you want to call it. And I think for long enough that was fine. I didn't really have any strong feelings about how I looked or about how I felt or anything else. But I got to a stage where I really wanted to kind of start trying to change that. And it was difficult at first because I think it's intimidating to know where to start, what to do, and all those types of things. And I think the thing for me was as well, I hated people calling me skinny. I still do. They still call me skinny on occasion, but it was always a real bugbear for me where people, you're skinny, you're skinny this and skinny. I think it's the thing a lot of people want or want to be, but much like any other kind of body image, for me personally, I was like, right, I want to start trying to do something about it. As I say, I did what most people do. I signed up for a gym membership, went for a few times, a few sessions, stuck to it for 2 or 3 weeks, and then fell away from it because I'd be going into the gym with no real understanding of what I was doing, no strategy, no kind of plan.
Just kind of hoping to get massive.
Pretty much, I go and do a few curls and jump on the treadmill, and that was it. So I did find it quite difficult at the start to really make any kind of progress. Then my boss in my work decided he had like a ton of gym equipment. So he had like a squat rack, a bench, a crazy amount of free weights. So he put them all in the basement of work, and I started using that to train in, which definitely had a bit of benefit for me because one, it didn't have the kind of fear and intimidation factor of going to the gym, and secondly, it gave me my own kind of space to try and figure out myself. Again, the challenges I found though is I didn't really know what I was doing, no real routine, no kind of regime for it. It was all a bit kind of ad hoc and sporadic.
Okay, cool. So what was it that made you contact myself to get coaching on the go?
So I'd seen a few things. I'd seen some kind of examples of other folk he'd worked with, but I think for me personally, it was about trying to get that guidance, direction, advice on a number of things. One, just knowing what I need to do. Where do I start with, not just with the training aspect, but with my diet, with my lifestyle. And I think that was the real kind of motivation to get started.
I think you nailed it in the head, man, when you probably happens so often, and it happened to myself before I got a coach and when I was still drinking and what have you, because you know you get that motivation for somewhere and then you go, but I think it's just a lack of understanding sometimes, because if you don't have the understanding on what you're doing, you're probably not going to get the results you want, and you see that it's frustrating, and you stop going or whatever. So you know, I think it's just more like guidance and accountability as well. Would you think? Would you say that was a big thing in it, or actually
100%?
You doing it?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think there's a big element of accountability, encouragement, guidance, just simple things like form, different exercises, different movements, breaking it up in, you know, different like upper, lower, full body workout, whatever it's going to be. Like, I had no understanding or knowledge of that until we started kind of training together. So it was a real.
What was a typical thing you would do when you went before you came on your own? What was a typical kind of thing you'd go, I'm going to do this today?
You just for me it would be like I'd go in, probably jump on a kind of a treadmill. We'll do a wee 5-10 minute run at most. Jump on some of the machines, do my chest, you know, do a wee fly and all that, do a shoulder press. Probably be me done. I had no real understanding of what muscles I was working out, what I should be doing, what weights I should be doing. I think there's another real challenge I had, and I think again a lot of people have, is it's quite an intimidating environment. Especially when you go in, you see people in great shape and they're all hammering away and they've got their own kind of routines and everything else. It can be difficult to think, well, what am I meant to be doing in here? So for me, again, that was a really important part of starting to train with you, was that confidence factor as well. I'd be like, right, I've got a program, I've got an established routine, I know what I should be doing, and even at that makes a big difference going into the gym instead of just kind of wandering around, hopping on and off machines.
Definitely, man. So what was it about weight training that you enjoyed, or was that like just one of the biggest things that got you doing it consistently because you did enjoy it so much? Is that maybe a big factor why you stuck to it? Because
I think so.
Had you on purely weights?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was an enjoyment from the fact that it was a challenge. I hadn't done it before. I mean, I look at it now and I look back on what I struggled to bench in here, and it's funny for me looking now, and I can remember feeling like, oh my god, I'm never going to be able to do this. You know, it's like I couldn't even get through 5 reps of a low weight, and now obviously I'm well above that, and I've got a good kind of form and good rhythm and everything else, and I think that gives you a sense of kind of achievement to drive you on. Not only that, you very quickly, well, not necessarily quickly, but you start to see kind of changes in your body. Probably it happened for me quite quickly at the start, and then it slowed right down, which is obviously where it started to get harder as we got closer to my shoot. But those changes as well make it easier for you to motivate yourself when you see your chest getting a wee bit bigger, or you know, your biceps getting, or whatever it would be. So I think again that from weight training in particular, that was like a good motivation for me.
Definitely, because let's face it, not a lot of people like cardio, do they?
No, not at all.
But the thing is, obviously, that's how we met, playing football together.
Absolutely.
For the mighty Greenfield.
The mighty Greenfield, I know.
That's obviously when you're doing that a couple of times a week. I mean, that's cardio anyway, so you don't really have to do too much more than that, unless you were actively looking to do marathons or stuff.
I think now it's slightly different, but absolutely back then for me, the only way I could motivate myself to do cardio was to play football.
Because it was more about, it was obviously the biggest thing was like in regards to training at that point, and the goal was like between those two things, how you look and fitness. It was more about how you look, wasn't it?
But absolutely,
trying to get into great shape, essentially.
Definitely. And I think as well for me, from the outset, it was all about, right, okay, I want to just be massive, and I want to look like this guy, and I want to look like that guy, and I mean, there's a whole other that we'll probably come to that, about talking about comparisons and comparing yourself to people, but you know, that was definitely my real driver at the start. And I think as I got more and more into training, it started to be more about not just like the image, but like how I actually felt and how my arm looked, and how my abs would display, and whatever, how my obliques would be, or anything else. And as much as that became image focused, there was a real element of feeling good about it, and feeling better about it, and feeling stronger about it. And it became, whilst it was still image focused, it wasn't like the total like kind of vanity place, I suppose, that it maybe started from as well.
Oh, that's good though, because obviously then that means that, you know, you might have started for certain reasons, but obviously it progressed.
Aye,
And
completely.
more from that.
Yeah, definitely.
Which obviously is like a massive thing, and maybe something that we'll just talk about the new then. So I think that it's one of the main reasons I started doing a podcast was to talk about certain things with people that maybe don't get spoke about often. Something that maybe I'm not just going to put a post up about,
Of course.
talk. It's because things can sometimes get lost like that, or it's obviously something that you can't really get into too much detail on. You're just putting up a post on Instagram or something. So I started a podcast to talk about things with people that are, well, I feel is it really important, because where I came from, when I got into training and everything else, and I was trying to fight problems that I was having, was try to stay away from like alcohol and stuff like that. If I didn't have things like podcasts and I listened to at that point that I knew helped me, then I might have not have got certain knowledge or guidance that I maybe needed back then. So I feel that it's really important that people have something to listen to that's maybe going to help them. So you've been quite honest, obviously me especially, through being your coach when you were going through a hard time in your life and stuff. Of course. Maybe, as you say, you maybe started training for certain reasons, but it became a lot more than that when things maybe weren't going so great in your life, and you obviously said about suffering from mental health issues.
Absolutely.
And basically, if you don't mind to talk a little bit about that, and basically,
of course,
where you were, or what brought you to basically the training, obviously helping with that, and then.
Yeah, no worries.
Just let us know.
I think it's a difficult thing. It's something that most people don't want to talk about. I definitely didn't want to talk about it, and I think my failure to kind of talk about it and address my mental health problems led to a lot of the kind of mistakes and decisions that I made. Yeah. And I don't think that's uncommon either. So for me, the period that we've been sort of training through, it's been fairly turbulent to say the least. Yeah. And there's been a lot of kind of difficult times in my life where I've felt lack of motivation, I felt isolated, I felt demotivated, I felt depressed fundamentally. As an adult man, I had to go, for the first time in my life, I had to fess up and go to my doctor and be like, I've got a serious problem, I've got difficulties and I need help with it. Had to try medication, which didn't really work for me. I've had to go through like therapy, which is kind of hit or miss at best. So for me, that's where training kind of filled or like helped me through a really challenging period in my life. It gave me a focus, it gave me an outlet, it gave me motivation. If I was frustrated, it was perfect. You just go in and smash a workout. And it calms you right down. If you were feeling the opposite, if I was lethargic, if I was drained, again, the same thing would apply. I could go into the gym and try and build myself up and pick up my energy levels. I think it just is. We've talked about this at length. It's so undervalued as a day-to-day thing. Even if you're just having a pretty shitty day and you just want to, lift yourself up, or you need a little bit more energy. You just need someone to kind of go into your own headspace as well. Like, I find when I'm exercising, I think about a lot of things, like day-to-day things, but sometimes it gives you time, a peace of mind just to think through an issue or something that's bothering you or anything else. So why, for me, it's been absolutely invaluable. It's really helped me, and at times when, again, as you touched upon yourself, it's too easy to turn to drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, anything else, all the kind of vices that life has to offer. And I think for me, if I didn't have training and didn't have exercise, I would definitely be in a considerably worse place than I am at the moment. Yeah,
so I mean that's awesome of you to sit there and obviously open up like that, man, because that's obviously not easy to do, and it's like as I said, like it's what saved training is essentially what saved me from just going back to the life I was living before, that I was trying to change. It just gave me like I felt like I'd had a purpose. Like, absolutely. Because at that point, I just didn't feel like I had much or whatever, or I hated, myself or how I looked and how I felt, and man, it just changed my whole outlook on obviously like myself, but obviously my headspace, like I'm sure you've been there where you've had a really shit day and you go into the gym feeling one way and you can walk out just feeling a bit better.
Times better, absolutely. I think you're totally right in that, like, when it comes to self-esteem and not even just like how you're looking, but like just how you're feeling about yourself, I think it's like kind of therapeutic to go in and be able to, like, right, I'm just going to, even if it's like you don't have the best workout in the world because you're not feeling great, you don't have the energy for it, you're still, as you say, you always feel better than you did beforehand. And I think it's too easy as well when you are in those kind of mindsets to just do nothing. I mean, I would lose hours of my life just lying in bed or sleeping or just procrastinating or whatever it would be. And that when I started to kind of channel that time into spending it, you know, making sure I was going to the gym, eating good meals, trying to keep it kind of as clean, as healthy as possible, I felt such a massive benefit in comparison to the other. So
obviously, like, for me it's maybe a bit different because I don't drink at all anymore, but obviously for yourself you still partake in a wee night out now and again.
On occasion.
Like, obviously it's okay, obviously when there's a balance there, but do you find it quite difficult to balance that in regards to when it's maybe time to let your hair down or whatever, or maybe when you really shouldn't, but you've got the opportunity to? Do you find it quite hard to?
I think that there needs to be a balance. The thing for me personally is I lack self-control, and then I can be quite self-destructive. And I think that's where I need to temper it, because if I go too far in one direction, I can really throw myself off. I'm kind of getting better now at being able to manage that, and obviously, again, as we'll talk about being a father, I've obviously got different priorities and responsibilities now, and that lets me kind of say, right, okay, you know, you've got other things to be worrying about than going out for a night out and everything else. Yeah, totally. I think the other thing that I've learned as well through training with you is, like, it doesn't need to be the be all and end all, in the sense that you can have your nights out, you can go out for a few drinks, or, you know, have a heavy night, as long as you kind of recover for it, you build it into your diet, you think about the calories and so on. Vodka, soda water and lime is 93 calories compared to a beer is 350, so or something in that region. So
that's the thing though, you managed to find a good balance. Now maybe sometimes a bit more than you should have, but you did manage to find that balance of, you managed to still, you didn't have to like become antisocial or not go out or not even have a drink, but you know, you managed to take accountability for, I guess, what you were doing and still work it into your routine, because you managed to obviously get to where you got.
Yeah, of course.
Whilst, as I say, like, enjoying some nights out and stuff like that, which is the ideal scenario where you want to be. You know, because obviously unless there's deeper issues there, you don't want to give it up altogether.
Well,
unless obviously it's maybe affecting your health more than what it should do.
I think as you say, it differs from person to person, doesn't it? And obviously from your experience, it works for you better to have literally no contact. And I think for me, I also have to be careful, because there's still a balancing act to be had there, that if I go too far in one direction, it becomes unmanageable. So
as you touched on there, you became a dad.
I did indeed.
At some point, when was it?
May 2016, which feels, it's crazy how quickly the time passes.
How's that changed your life?
It's pretty indescribable, to be honest. I think everyone tells you, it changes you, and everything changes, and it's all true. all the kind of cliches that you get in advance that are completely true. But for me personally, it's given me, like, it's the best thing. She's given me more kind of focus, more motivation, more drive. I think again, it's about trying to be a better version of myself. Because at the end of the day, that I'm a role model, so she's going to grow up and see her dad, and I want to be a positive role model. And again, I suppose from a training perspective, that's about being active and everything else. And we go out a lot of kind of hill walks and stuff, because she's up and about, and we go out hill walking, go a wee days out and wee things like that, which is great. But yeah, I think it all just comes down for me about being a better kind of dad. You should always look up to your dad and think, you know, that needs to be the man and be big and strong, especially my daughter as well. So, but nah, it's amazing.
Man. So you're loving it.
Loving it.
Superb.
Absolutely loving it.
Well, let's talk about this then, right? We get there's a lot of there's a lot of issues with people trying to find the time to exercise.
Definitely.
Right? So did you have Penny when you started with me, or was it?
It was just
after?
not to. It was about halfway through, pretty much.
Okay, so when you came to me looking to get into phenomenal shape, you know, I'm sure you were aware that it was going to take a lot of hard work.
Indeed.
So when you've got a job, obviously working full time, but you travel.
Yep.
You were a dad, and obviously that takes up time.
Yes.
And responsibilities. You know, you had other hobbies like your football. Name anything else that got in the way, but you still found the time to get your training done because you answer how did you find the time basically if you were so, because you were fucking busy, man.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's not changed or stopped in any manner. I mean, it's like I've got like a surprise solid routine, you know, between work and then kind of spending time with my daughter. And trying to fit in things, football and everything else. I think for me, if you want it enough, you will find the time. I still do this. I train a lot of the time on my lunch breaks at work. So I appreciate, again, not everyone's fortunate enough to be in the position to do that. But, you know, gym's 5 minutes where I can get myself out. I get a smash out, workout, go back to work, get my lunch at my desk and carry on. Other days I've got a bit more luxury where I might get the proper, I can go in and spend an hour and a half in the gym or anything else. And then in other times it's about trying to fit it around, you know, the time that I spend with my daughter. It is difficult.
I see you're in the gym on Saturday nights and stuff like that.
Absolutely. People think you're mental. They generally are just like, why are you going to the gym on Saturday night? Why would you do that? Why would you get up at 6 a.m. and go to the gym before work in the morning? But
because you want to.
Basically. and for me, it's like, I think if you want it enough, if you want to be in great shape, you want to feel good, you want to reach a certain level, not even just reach that level, but surpass the level that you're at the moment.
Totally,
you need to push yourself. And I think that the only way to do that is if you want it enough, you'll find the time.
Yeah, definitely.
With working away, that was quite difficult for a lot of the time because I might be in a hotel in the middle of nowhere, no gym. You know, you don't have the same equipment, the same setup, the same routine. But that being said, there's still ways that you could do like kind of body weight exercises, do some stretching, blast after a 15-minute run, anything that you can do to keep yourself active. I'm a wee bit more divish these days where I'll tend to only try and book hotels that have gym facilities, or...
That's a great thing to be doing, because it's going to make your life easier when
absolutely.
You're away, if you want to train.
Yeah, completely.
Because as you say, like when you were saying that training's a big part of your life now because it makes you feel a certain way and helps you deal with stuff, you're going to need to make sure, or try and make sure that it's where you go, because it's going to make your life easier.
Of course. I think people one of the, this is a wee bit of a tangent, but a lot of the time when I started training in particular, and when we really got into my cut, when it was hard for the last 3 or 4 months, and that stage, people are like, why are you doing this? Why didn't you just eat a donut? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And it's like, you will find people maybe question what you're doing, and I think at the end of the day, if you're doing it for yourself and you're not really doing it for anybody else, and that was another thing for me that made it easy for me to make time, because I was so motivated that I wanted to make it happen, and still do as well.
Aye, that's it, man. I think there's the mindset of, I think I want to get in really good shape, or there's like, I'm going to get in great shape because I really fucking want to do it, and I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to go to a coach and I'm just going to do what he tells me, rather than I'm going to make excuses of why I didn't do it or whatever. I understand there's obviously always going to be legitimate excuses for when there's always going to be missed sessions and missed meals and unplanned meals out, takeaways, whatever, but at the end of the day, when the consistency's there most of the time, that's when the results will come. But as you say, you need to want to do it, and
of course,
like, I think time, not having time is one of the bigger excuses out there, I think. But like, put it this way, like Stranger Things 2 just came out on Netflix, and I think everybody on my whole Facebook now has watched the full series.
Right, see, in fairness, I watched the full thing in 24 hours,
right.
but I was bedridden, right, with the flu. I had nothing else to do, couldn't leave the house.
But that's the thing though, like, that there's there's time to do that.
Aye.
Because they want to do it, and that's cool.
Absolutely.
But if you're saying you want to get in shape,
of course,
you need to make the effort and time to do it consistently, because as you say, like, we've all been there when we're going and then no going, and then, but that's when you don't really get anywhere, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So, you know, when we're training in elite with clients, we're working towards the goal of getting in people into the best shape in their life, and shape that they never thought they could be in or never imagined themselves getting into. So we reward that with the elite transformation shoot, and it's just an opportunity to give somebody, you know, a day about them to make them look, you know, absolutely superb and silky smooth. And obviously you got there, man. Like, you made it through times where we didn't know if it was for sure going to happen. Well, I knew you could do it, but you definitely doubted yourself.
I know, I definitely did.
But I know that you worked really hard to get into the condition you got to, man. I know you sacrificed a lot when you were hungry or travelling away and you had options to do whatever food wise, but you managed to stick to the plan. How did you feel when you look back at when you looked at the photos for the first time? How did it make you feel?
It was a wee bit strange because it was a little bit like out of body almost, because I was surprised how they looked. I was surprised how I looked on the day. I mean, the performance of going through shaving my legs and getting the spray tan and getting like the bin bag wrapped up inside my boxers and all that was a wee bit eye opening, shall we say? But it was it was great fun. It was in great spirits, you know. It was I thoroughly, like, it was very laid back. It's
pushing yourself out your comfort zone a wee bit, like,
absolutely.
Never thought you'd have done it at the end of the day.
I was definitely a wee bit cynical and like, oh God, like, what am I gonna look like? What am I gonna think of it? What will people think of it if it goes in the world? But at the end of the day, like, I'd never really thought that my body would look like that, and it was a great feel. I mean, you know how obsessed I was. Like, I want abs. I want abs, and I want thighs, and I want this, and I want that. And I was convinced that I had none of them, and I actually had all of them. So from that point of view, I mean, it felt great to turn around and be like, well, I've come a long way, especially for, as you rightly say, I think, like, I definitely struggled with, not even necessarily, I think for me it was about commitment, from the point of view that I had to be completely honest with you about, you know, what I was eating, how I was tracking it, the amount of exercise I was doing. And I think there was just a bit of me that was just clinging on to not like, I wouldn't say comfort, but like just things that were maybe like a wee bit overindulgent. And as soon as I did that and made that commitment, that's when I started making real kind of progress and traction. So I'd see the end result was like phenomenal. And again, having folk like, I mean, yes, there was some unsavoury or like banterish comments, as you might expect, but it was mostly people like super like supportive and complimentary. And I think after a lot of the kind of what I'd gone through in that kind of 12 and 18 months, it was nice to feel that I'd achieved something, you know, for the positive.
I totally, like, people were absolutely loving it, man. Like nothing but positive feedback. When people were saying to me, you know, people that knew you, people that didn't know you, even like a lot of guys in the football team, you know, when you went, I think you might have left by the time the shoot came out.
That's all. Don't bring that up, no.
But even the guys in the dressing room, like, as you say, you might think, you know, guys in a football team might say certain things, but honestly, man, most of them are all like that here. Nick looks absolutely amazing, man.
It's super nice, and everyone's
which is awesome to hear, man. Because you never know what you're going to get in a football team.
Especially, I'm so sorry, guys, that I left up the deck.
I don't believe it. I'm not going to that now. Right, so what did you find the hardest about getting into shoot condition? Like, because you were pretty shredded, man. You were really lean, and it's not easy to get at.
No, it has to be the diet. It wasn't the training. I love training. I could go and train right now. It's not, training wasn't the issue for me. I really enjoyed it, as we've said throughout. It was a diet, man, and it was not even. It's just the routine and the sense to make like good solid meals, the organisation to do that, cutting things out like chocolate bars or cakes or biscuits, and just all the wee things, and then even simple things like, obviously we touched upon how much coffee I drink, which we're still working on, but I mean, even like having a milk and a sugar in a coffee, and thinking that's an innocuous wee small thing. When you add that up over the course of a day, you realise it's,
a week.
When
they're having 7.
a month.
If it's 1 or 2, it's alright, but you're having 7 coffees.
They definitely start to add up, so that for me was like, that was solid. And when we started to really get into the cut, it took me, I had to educate myself, one, on like food and nutrition, which is obviously what I say, you had to educate me, but 2, having the actual kind of organisation to buy the right food, prep meals to an extent, particularly in my life, as we've touched upon, being as mental as it can be, and having that discipline with the diet was definitely the hardest part.
It always is going to be, man. Like, I'm a big advocate of flexibility in the diet, of if you want something, have it, don't deprive yourself, as long as you take accountability and everything else. And that worked, obviously, as we said, you enjoyed nights out, and I'm sure you had other things that you wouldn't associate as diet food, on a regular basis. But when you get to a point of you're pretty lean, but you want to get leaner, the little things really do add up, and that's the difference between getting into good shape and getting into phenomenal shape. You need to be thinking about everything that you eat, because it's very easy to basically create that extra deficit to get that extra body fat off, but it's very easy to take that back when you go one day out of kilter, when you're not tracking things or whatever, and that's obviously when it's hard, because you're hungry.
Big time.
And you're trying to train hard, and as much as you love your training, sometimes when you're at the end of a diet, training can suck.
It was lethal. The last kind of probably 3-4 weeks in the build up to shoot, such low diet, low calories, high protein, obviously, and those workouts were hard.
But I think you can take a lot from it, learn a lot from about yourself from that. But
big time, because
you get that sense of, I actually managed to stick to that, or I said I was going to do that and I followed it through. Like, I've obviously trained a lot of people in here, and only a small handful of people have made it to the stage that you made it to. So you can take that away and go, I actually absolutely well. And it's definitely not easy to stick to the diet at that stage, man, when you're just getting into the really lean stages, man. Do you know what I mean? But but it was superb, the dedication throughout.
Cheers, man.
Awesome. Okay, man, we're going to look at post shoot. So when we done the shoot, you hit the goal, you were delighted, but
I was delighted.
You didn't want to stop. You wanted to go to the next stage, and the next stage is building on your physique, which is another challenge in itself. I think people think that bulking or getting bigger or whatever is easy. You just eat loads of food and hit the gym a few times a week and you get bigger or whatever. But you do need to be on it food wise as well, or training wise, especially when you're getting bigger. So I mean, adding muscle and getting bigger, has it been harder than what you thought it would be?
Undoubtedly, big time. I think I hoped it would happen quite quickly and quite rapidly. It was great when I came off my cut, obviously, because my diet relaxed, shall we say, and it wasn't big time. Having the calories back was phenomenal, and I definitely didn't need to be as strict with that. And again, it was great going in the gym because I felt energised. I felt in really good condition. Extra calories.
Lifting more weight.
I absolutely lifting more weights, moving up weights, doing a lot of heavy kind of lifting it, like bench and deadlifts and so on. So absolutely, I mean, I'm loving it. By the same token, as we've identified, like, it's tough in the sense that you're just like, why am I not like Brock Lesnar yet? You know what I mean? It's like
it's a slow process.
Big time. And I think it kind of comes back to what I said before about comparisons and comparing yourself to people. And I still do it now, and I try not to. I definitely do it less than I used to. But if you just stand and constantly compare yourself to this guy or that guy, this person, that person, I think you'll just drive yourself crazy. A lot of the time, the people you're looking at, they might have been training for years. They might not be training, naturally, shall we say. They might be, looking at pictures on Instagram and social media and everything else. And I think it can have a really detrimental effect on your training if all you do is worry about how other people look and the shape they're in. So I think I've tried to get myself in a position that all I do is think about how I look, how I feel,
Or how you used to look to how you look now.
Absolutely, definitely. I think that's a really good motivator, and I think, I mean, since February when we did the shoot, I've noticed like massive differences. I've put good kind of weight on, but
what I think how much is it?
Almost a stone now, not far off a stone.
Which to some people that might not sound a lot, but in terms of adding weight but not fat, that is a lot, man. That is a lot. Like obviously there'll be some body fat in there, but because you are still in pretty good condition, you know that you're putting on muscle because you're not just getting fatter, basically.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But but it's such a massive thing that you touched on there. Like I'm sitting here as a coach telling people stop looking at other people and thinking about comparing yourself with that. But I can still do it to this day.
I think we all do, and it's like it's just the impact of social media and everything else, and it relates to everything in life, and we all do it. But I think I've had to learn not just with training, with everything, to try and detach myself from it and be content with yourself and motivate yourself and have your own goals and have be content with who you are, essentially.
That's it. And you're working your planning, trying to achieve what you're going to achieve, and that's all that matters. If you weren't putting any work in and you're sitting going, whatever, then you can't really argue that because you're not trying. But you're trying your best, and that's all you can do. And everybody's different. And as you say, like if you're looking at, or not just you, MD's looking at people, especially on Instagram, because filters, magazines, cover shoots and all that kind of stuff. It's not real life, man, and like a lot of the people that they'll be looking up to won't actually look like that a lot of the time. I think that's something that people really need to realise, and a lot, again, people are looking up to are in the industry as like even models and stuff. So it's basically their job to train and look good.
They get a nutritionist, they get that, exactly. Train 6 hours a day, it's like whatever, it's like,
and a lot of males and females out there in the industry that people are looking up to are assisted, as you say, and those, for how they've gotten there in regards to how they're so big and how they're so big and ripped at the same time, or always getting bigger but always staying lean. There's a reason for that.
Absolutely.
And but unfortunately, I didn't realise any of this before. I got I became like into becoming a coach and really looking into things and actually realised. But before I would just go, I'm going to look like him if I keep training a year. Do you know what I mean? And adding muscle is such a slow process, man. And you're doing it naturally, and like you get ill and you lose 3 weeks of training.
Sure.
You go on holiday and there's another couple of weeks away, or just life gets in the way or whatever, and it's really hard. It's such a hard thing to do, man. I think
the key thing for me is that I found so much easier this time is any kind of interruption, whether it's illness or this, that, the next thing, I'm straight back on it as soon as I can be.
Definitely.
And I think that's so important for folk, like just to, like, no matter, even if you've had a couple of rough days or something's happened, you've been at holiday's a great one, you come back for your holiday and you've munched loads of food, you've been out every night, and I think you can struggle for it, just get straight back on it, because the sooner you do it the better you feel, man. And
like a 2-week holiday is 2 weeks, but it could maybe be another 2 weeks or more after that, depending on motivation levels and I feel crap, so I'm going to continue to eat crap, whatever. But as you say, if you're in the routine of had a holiday, back into it, makes such a difference, because you're delaying, you're not just delaying the inevitable, if that makes sense. But so it is really hard, and it's something that you need to just accept is going to take time to do, and be patient, basically, and try and eat enough food, but not too much. Enough protein, fueling workouts, lift, stay on top of what you're lifting and everything. It's not just like, I think people think that dieting is really hard and getting bigger is really easy, but to do it properly and to do it well, it's not easy.
It's pretty similar, to be honest, thus far. I mean, as I say, the diet with this is so much easier to manage. But the training wise, I mean, you're really pushing yourself, as we said earlier on.
Totally.
You need to be absolutely on it to kind of get those gains.
Totally, man. A big mistake I made when I first kind of leaned out after losing a lot of weight and stuff, and then I decided, I want to try and add size, was I just thought that you had to eat as much food as possible. I genuinely thought that the more you eat, the more muscle you'll get. And I just was up at a stage, I think at one point I was eating over 4,000 calories a day. And I was like, oh my God, my clothes are getting tighter, this is great. But all I was really doing was adding body fat. I was adding muscle, but I was in a surplus, probably like 1,000 calories a day, or maybe 500 to 1,000 calories a day, which was over a few months. Basically putting on a lot of body fat pretty quick, and if I were just to keep myself in a smaller surplus, maybe a couple of 100 calories of a surplus of what my maintenance was, I would have put on the same muscle as what I was putting on, but I wouldn't have put on all that body fat, because all that happened was when I dieted again and leaned down, I wasn't that much bigger than what I was before at all, but I gave myself this illusion that I was, because my clothes were getting tighter and I was bigger with my clothes on. But in regards to actual muscle, obviously we all do it, so we look good with our clothes off. So when I leaned back down after that first ever bulk, I didn't actually look much different. And all that money spent in food, and all that body fat gained was really fun.
It's kind of redundant.
It definitely was. So what I do now is, when I've not dieted in quite a while, fucking ages actually, because I just want to be consistent at trying to add a wee bit of size. So I basically eat at and around maintenance, but just over. So I stay in okay condition, and I'm never getting out of shape, because obviously I play my football, do my triathlon stuff. So for me, I like to stay lean. Which takes us on to our next point. We are like kind of smaller guys, you get, genetics.
Speak for yourself.
You know what I mean? But like, genetics
totally
can play a big part in, like, you guys that are just like big guys and big frames, and when they start training, muscles goes on, and they're just big guys, but we are smaller. And it's a constant battle, isn't it, of do I want to be lean, or do I really want to try and add this size? Because when you are adding the size, you are adding that even a wee bit of body fat, and you're losing the definition that you saw from the shoot, maybe. And then you're thinking, should I just go back and get lean again, or should I stick with it? It's a pure mind fuck constantly, isn't it?
No, absolutely. I think I chop and change all the time about what kind of body I want to be huge, I want to be really athletic, I want to be this and I want to be that. But I think the most important thing, like one of the most valuable things I've got from kind of our training, is being able to understand, but what is my maintenance? How many calories should I be eating? What should I be eating? And what's a cut for me? What's a bulk for, And I had no clue about any of that, and I didn't really know what foods constituted. But I mean, you can make basic assumptions, right? But I mean, the level of education that I've had around my nutrition in particular has been like amazing, and it still helps me like now in terms of what I'm trying to achieve. But you're absolutely right. It's a bit of a time between, do you want to be that like really kind of super lean, like shredded, like tight abs and whatever else, or do you want to look like Brock Lesnar?
And you can't really have both.
I'm aiming for a happy medium, but it's not really happening. There's definitely is.
So you still going for it with the size, You're still
I would say so.
Build on your muscle and get a bit bigger.
Undoubtedly.
I mean, at the end of the day, like as I said, I think as long as you're not going that route of just ripping the piss with your diet to get bigger, so you do just put on loads of body fat and get really out of shape. I think that it's worth it. It's worth it to put in the time and lose that bit of definition to help your body, because your body needs the nutrient and the calories to build the muscle.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's worth it, in my opinion. I think it's worth it to put that time in, maybe a year, 2 years of constant training hard, lifting heavy, eating the right amount, not too little, not too much, and then maybe going on a cut again and going, okay, I'm going to smash another cut for 3 months and see what I look like compared to shoot.
Aye,
And
definitely.
do it in another year's time and see what happens.
I think that's probably my target, to be honest with you. For now, I mean, again, as we've said, we both play football as well, so my fitness and cardio is important to me.
Aye, of course.
Which within reason,
I know I'm saying Sunday League, it's not imperative that you stay in good shape.
Well, I mean, I'm kicking on a wee bit now, but it's still that you also have that balance about, because especially for you with your triathlons and stuff. I mean, that's a whole other level, but if you're going to be hammering loads of cardio as well, so if you're playing loads of football or doing your triathlons, but also trying to get big and build muscle, you're kind of also, again, it's difficult to have both.
Well, that's what
I think we both shoot for the happy medium, but it's still difficult, you know, to have like.
Well, that's it, man. It's like I need to accept myself that I'm not going to be the fastest triathlete, because I'm actively always trying to gain a bit of muscle and try to get bigger. And obviously, in fact, the heavier I am, trying to run around a course and swim is going to be harder. So I'm not going to be the fastest, but you know, I love my weight training and I love gaining muscle. So I'm not going to give that up. But it doesn't mean that I can't be fit. It doesn't mean that I can't do a triathlon or an Ironman, because you can. What I'm saying there is, I'm just not going to be the fastest. I can still do it. I can still be really fit, but I'm just not going to win the triathlon, which is fine, because I'll have that other goal. But then again, that other goal of getting big, I know that I'm not maximising my gain, because I'm doing a shitload of cardio. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But you can do both. I can do both, and people can do both. But one, you really need to know what you're doing in regards to nutrition and recovery and everything else. But two, you just need to realise that you're not going to maximise either of those two fields. But if you want to be good at both, then that's okay. Yeah, 100%. It's just individual what people want, really. Yeah, in my opinion.
For sure.
All right. Getting to the end. Anything you want to talk about?
Just in life. I feel like I would drop a mixtape or announce my mixtape's dropping. I feel like I'm on a rap radio show.
I mean, I've got a wee bit at the end. I'm going to ask you to talk about just advice for people, but apart from that, anything at all, what you think?
I mean, while we're sitting here, firstly, I would thank you massively for all your help and support, encouragement.
I never asked him to say that.
He didn't ask me to say that.
No, but thanks, man.
But there's been some, as we've talked about, and I won't go back in it. There's been pretty difficult times in my life, and we've had some, the sessions where I've come in here about my life's a fucking mess, and we've literally spent an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, and it's just, absolutely hammering it. And I've never come in here and left feeling worse than when I came in the door. And that's you can say that for the gym as well at the time, but I think it's a very encouraging, positive environment. I'm still raging about the plank challenge, right enough, but there we go. I won't talk about that today.
You weren't even close, mate.
Nah.
Anyway, move on.
But in general, I think if anybody's watching this being like, should I get a personal trainer, should I do this, or should I do that, I'm like, don't hesitate, like, just try it. It might not be for you, and that's absolutely fine, but I would be amazed if you didn't get at least something positive out of it.
Well, that was literally my question, man. Like, what would you say to somebody who's thinking about taking upon a transformation but hasn't made the leap yet?
Just stop putting it off. The amount of people that are like, I should join the gym, I should try a class, I should do this, I should go out and run. Just do it, and don't hold back. And I think the biggest thing as well is sometimes people need help or motivation or just a wee kind of encouragement. Like, do it with your pal, do it with me. If you want to go to the gym, come, more than welcome, come to the gym with me. Like, sometimes you don't even need necessarily like training together, but just having somebody there with you is like a nice kind of comfort. Totally. I think the longer you procrastinate, the less like you are to ever do it and ever make it happen. And anything you do is going to be a benefit. So
awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for coming in and taking your time to talk to us, man. Thanks for putting your faith in me to be your coach and take you through what you wanted to achieve. And you're a fucking great client, mate.
Cheers.
Had some laughs. We had some laughs going through that.
We have indeed.
The training sessions were always 110%, and
for sure.
Never moaned about anything. You just got on with it. We moaned about a couple of things when you couldn't eat cakes and stuff. You just got on with it, mate. And you know what? Like, when you're sitting there, talking about how you've had some pretty dark times, man, and like training's really helped you, and training with me has helped you, man. That really fucking means a lot to me, man. So
No, I
I
appreciate
appreciate
it.
it, man. Put it
Awesome.
there. Thanks for
Cheers.
coming in. And
Pleasure.
see you soon, man.
Ideal.